Hey everyone, it's been a full year since the Apple Vision Pro was released in the US, and I'm based in Toronto, so on the day it was released a year ago, I drove over the American border to the nearest mall, picked it up, brought it home, and filmed my full 24 hours with the Vision Pro experience video. And I pushed this thing way further than Apple originally intended for it to go, and the results were wild. Everyone was talking about it. And over the following months, Apple gradually rolled out the Vision Pro to even more countries and regions, delivered software updates that enhanced the system, polished the experience, but now barely anybody talks about this device. But this being all said, I've used the Apple Vision Pro very consistently since pretty much day one, and honestly, it's an incredible piece of technology that shows us the future of spatial computing, whether or not we're ready for it. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN, my go-to VPN for changing my online location for watching region-locked content, browsing more anonymously, and keeping me safe using public Wi-Fi networks. Learn more at my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen now and find out how you can get 4 months for free. Okay, so let's start out with the design. Now, whether you love it or hate it, it's become pretty iconic at this point. I've only ever used the default headband which came with it, not the additional strap, and I do find it to be quite comfortable despite it being made of glass and metal and quite heavy. It tilts down on my face a little bit, but nothing really too unbearable. And it's very easy to adjust and tighten around your head, and I like sticking with the default headband because it's very easy to put on, no nonsense, you just slap it on and it's there. And the glowing front display that lights up with either your eyes or just with color is without a doubt very cool. But the biggest downside of the design here for me has to be the wired battery pack. When you're sitting down, it's very easy to forget about, but once you get up, you're carrying that thing around in your pocket, which is kind of heavy and it gets a little bit annoying. And it is a very thin cable, like I don't see it lasting an incredibly long time, especially if you have a cat like me who's going to want to chew on that cable. It's really not going to last. But so far, mine is flawless. And the battery life is also kind of weak on this headset. It's about 2.5 to 3 hours of continuous use depending on what you're doing, so if you're watching a movie or playing a game, you're likely going to have to plug it in partway through or right after you're done. And you can't really just stock up on these battery packs because they are quite expensive and proprietary to Apple. I don't think anybody's made a third-party Vision Pro battery pack. Now sure, you could kind of daisy chain the battery packs and plug another battery into the Vision Pro battery, but that just gets kind of ridiculous. And overall, the hardware feels like it's kind of lagging behind the ambitions and software experience of this headset. It's not really what Apple wants to deliver, but right now, this is what they can deliver. And it's very clear that Apple is 100% wanting to bring this technology down into a pair of very wearable glasses, but right now, this is what we have. And because it's so big, bringing it around can definitely be a bit of a process. Now, Apple does make this really cool carrying case that is quite expensive also, and it's inspired by spacesuits, NASA design, even some of Tom Sachs' designs, but it's, yeah, like I mentioned, quite expensive. But there are, of course, third-party ones. So that's the hardware and design. This thing is incredibly well made, it's beautiful, and I personally love how this thing looks and how it feels, but the most important thing here is really the software experience. The software here with Vision OS is the real star of the Vision Pro, and honestly, in my opinion, it's one of the best and most innovative things that Apple has shipped in years at this point. It's stunning, intuitive, you don't have to even think about it, and the software seamlessly integrates with your surroundings. Now, as you may know, the Vision Pro doesn't let you actually see the world directly through the headset. Instead, it uses external cameras to create an augmented reality view, which projects onto high-res screens in the headset. Now, close-up objects like your phone or a book or really small text can appear quite blurry and hard to read, but anything further away looks sharp and realistic. And low light performance could be better as it gets pretty noisy and grainy, but overall the experience is smooth and feels very immersive, and you very quickly forget that you're actually just looking at video screens in a headset. Now once you put on the headset and use the Optic ID to log in, which pretty much scans your eyes and it works really well, you're logged into the Vision OS experience. And the home screen has the familiar app grid as well as other tabs for different environments to put yourself in, and quick access to your contacts for making FaceTime calls or sending messages. And the controls for this headset couldn't be any more intuitive. It's pinching, it's tapping, it's looking at things just like you normally would, and pinching to select them. And you can even bring these virtual windows closer to you to interact with them as if you were using an iPad even. And the software is also highly customizable in the settings and very functional. You can have multiple apps open simultaneously in your space, turning your environment into this very responsive, really futuristic multitasking hub. And you can have things like Safari tabs in one corner, a YouTube video playing on Safari in another, notes open, and your email in another corner. And it just feels like incredibly cool. Apple's default apps like Notes, Mail, and Safari work as expected. They just feel like iPad apps on Vision Pro, and there's growing support for third-party apps. However, app support is still hit or miss. Now, thankfully, some developers have enabled their iPhone or iPad apps to run in the Vision Pro, even though they're not fully optimized, they're just like direct ports. And some things like YouTube and Netflix just aren't available, unfortunately, but you can use Safari to access them. And I do find a lot of my usage is actually just through Safari for looking at social media apps and watching videos. It's a really great web browsing device. But there are some really cool apps that are optimized for the Vision Pro though, like Shaper 3D, which is a 3D design app I mainly use on my iPad Pro. It works here with hand gestures, as well as a bunch of other apps which might not be native Vision Pro apps, but you can pair a Bluetooth mouse or just use the hand gestures that you want to use, and they'll work pretty damn well. Although some apps from developers, even an iPad or iPhone ported over version, are just not available at all, unfortunately. But one of the coolest use cases for the Vision Pro that kind of reinvigorated my love for the headset is actually game streaming on this device. I've been using Xbox Game Pass and the Nexus browser, which works really well to let you play these different game streaming services. All I have to do is pair an Xbox controller and I can stream games from Game Pass to the Vision Pro with no issues. The experience is very smooth with very minimal latency, and the resolution does kind of suck on really large windows that fill your whole view, but even then, having like a window that still fills most of the screen looks sharp, looks clear, and it's pretty incredible. And also, speaking of gaming, Nvidia's GeForce Now is actually going to be available on the Vision Pro and will be optimized for gameplay within Safari, so you don't have to actually get the Nexus browser or a similar optimized browser. And Apple is actually working on PSVR controller support for the Vision Pro too. And I feel like game streaming is really a killer use case for the Vision Pro, and easily one of my favorite features. I mean, of course, besides watching movies and TV shows, which look incredible on the Vision Pro. They're sharp, they're clear, they just kind of float in your view and look amazing, especially with spatial audio, which uses these bone conduction style speakers on the sides of the Vision Pro and kind of make the sound part of your world versus isolating you completely. And another really big standout feature for the Vision Pro is using it as a virtual display for your Mac. With one simple tap, it mirrors your Mac display to the headset and offers different view options like a standard widescreen mode, a very wide mode, and even an ultra wide mode. And it really is perfect for video editing, multitasking, or creating a futuristic spatial workspace. And this feature alone makes the Vision Pro a super powerful tool for work. And you just use your MacBook or Mac desktop keyboard, and if you have an environment on, the keyboard will actually shine through the environment so you can still see it and use it, but you're still completely immersed in, like, I don't know, the desert or in the mountains or something. It's incredibly cool, and it's something I do use quite often. Now, before we talk about the future of the Vision Pro, let's talk about today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is my favorite VPN that I use across all of my devices. Whether it's my phone, laptop, TV, browser, or even router, it's incredibly useful to me. And I love ExpressVPN because it's super easy to use. Just simply open up the app, choose your location, and click one button, and that's it. It's activated. ExpressVPN lets you choose your online location so you can control where websites think you're located. Like Netflix, for example. I like to watch a lot of shows on Netflix Japan, so all I have to do is open up the ExpressVPN app, choose Japan, tap the connect button, refresh the page, and boom! I now have access to shows on Netflix Japan. It's really that easy. ExpressVPN also offers more anonymous browsing, so internet service providers can't see your online activity, and it makes it much more difficult for advertisers to track you online. And also, when using public, unencrypted, unsecured Wi-Fi networks, ExpressVPN is a great peace of mind to protect you from hackers. I love ExpressVPN. If you want to check it out for yourself, head over to expressvpn.com/Canoopsy or scan the QR code on screen now to find out how you can get up to 4 months for free. That's 4 months for free at expressvpn.com/Canoopsy, and a huge thanks to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Okay, so to conclude, about a full year later, the Apple Vision Pro is an incredible piece of technology. There's amazing software, beautiful design, but there's a lot that really holds it back. And this waning and lack of interest comes down to three main points. The first one being it's incredibly expensive, the second point being there's only so much you can actually do with this thing and limited app support, and the third point being it's very much a stationary device. Like, you can't really bring it outdoors with you. It's kind of just a device you use at home, at work, or on transit. If you're taking a long plane ride, a long train ride, that's really it. And reports say that Apple has actually scaled back production of this headset due to most likely a lot of sitting stock. And rumors also hint at a much thinner, lighter, more affordable version in development for this headset, which would make it a lot more appealing to more people. But when and if we'll actually get this cheaper headset, who knows? But what's more exciting though is the potential for Apple to use the Vision OS software for a pair of AR glasses in the future. Imagine being able to just put them on and walk around outside with maps, music, videos, notifications, and more projected onto your environment. That's really the dream. When I took the Vision Pro outside last year, it was far from perfect, but it gave me a view of what it would actually be like to bring augmented reality into my world. It can definitely enhance daily life and make you spend less time on your phone, and personally I love that idea. But for now, the Vision Pro kind of feels like a really well done advanced prototype. A powerful platform for developers to experiment with and build upon. The hardware may lag behind, but the software is leagues ahead, showing us a vision of really what's to come. The future of spatial reality, augmented reality, virtual reality is incredibly exciting, and I can't wait to see what comes next. And that's the Vision Pro about 1 year later. And I want to hear your thoughts on this headset in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and thank you for watching.